The Lancaster-Lebanon League is making headlines once again as they decided on August 5th to officially push back the start of the fall sports season. Lots of factors obviously went into the major decision, and to get the answers to all our questions, we bring back on LL League Executive Director Dr. Ron Kennedy. Cannot thank you enough once again coming on here, giving us a few minutes of your time, sir.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me once again.
All right, so we've got some big questions for you. Would love to get into some of the details that are going to be coming from this. But first question everybody wants to know is, what went into the decision? Why did you guys feel it was best to push back fall sports into the mid to late September timeline?
So the Board of Control met on Monday, and the Board of Control is the governing body of the league as far as superintendents, principals, and ADs. That particular group is all represented at the board. And the consensus really coming out of the board was, we want to get school started first. We want to figure out what those protocols are for school starting, and then figure out what the athletic protocols are going to be. So the philosophy really is, let's just kind of walk through this. Let's make sure we get school in session. Let's work through the protocols of school first, and then if we can delay athletics, maybe we'll overcome some of the hurdles that the schools are going to have to face, and we don't have to face those in the world of athletics. So it was kind of just, let's walk first, let's run second, and obviously this goes without saying, but the health and safety of our kids and our coaches is really at the forefront of all of this. And that was really the discussion we had on Monday. And then the way our league works, it goes to the association vote today. The association really is the principals of each school. That came to a vote today to delay the start of the season, and the vote was 19-4 to delay until September the 4th. And hopefully then we'll have some answers as far as protocols in schools and athletic protocols, and maybe hopefully some other answers from some other sources.
So you kind of alluded to it there. It wasn't a unanimous decision. Was there a good argument from some of the no votes, some of that wanted to start on time? What were some of the arguments there?
Listen, there's great arguments on either side, and I think if you're looking for the right answer, there are no right answers. We're in a pandemic, and I think everybody's looking for right answers. There are no right answers. There are answers, and we can answer questions, and we try to provide guidance based on the information we have at the time, and that changes. The information we had even last week changes. We may have different information today that's going to change what we may have done today, this morning. But yeah, the arguments to keep it going were, everyone has a health and safety plan already in place. Those kids have already been on campus. Coaches and administrators of those schools have done a good job of adhering to those guidelines. And, why would we shut stuff down now when in fact they've been doing it for pretty much, all summer long? And then the other theory, two other theories actually, and I think I had this conversation with you back in the spring. We found out that sports is pretty important. Athletics keeps kids connected to school, and now we're saying, we're going to delay the season. Certainly the kids are going to still be connected to school, much more so than they were back in the spring when everything was shut down. But yeah, sports are important. Keeping kids connected to school is important. And I guess the third reason really was, let's get something in. Let's start. And if for some reason it gets shut down, at least these kids are going to get something out of the fall season, which the kids in the spring were not afforded the opportunity. So certainly there were great arguments on both sides. And again, there's no right answer. There's just answers.
Yeah, again, there's a lot going into this. In seeing some of the details coming out, it sounds like golf is going to get to start first, as they would, and pretty much unchanged. But the football season is kind of what a lot of folks in this area have honed in on. We were set to start August 28th. Now it looks like it might get pushed back middle of September. I'm hearing either the 18th or the 25th. So can you kind of clue everybody in? We want to know what's going on first and foremost with football season. Can you give us some details there?
Sure. So we're going to mirror what we typically would do if we started the 17th. So if you start the 17th, you have your heat acclimation period starting on the 10th. So we're going to mirror that. So even though the 20th or the 4th is the start date, we're going to mirror that and do a heat acclimation starting on 8/31. So we'll do heat acclimation for a week. And if we do that and we start with our first game on, I think it's the Friday the 18th, then will be our first Friday night football game with heat act starting on 8/31. So there was some confusion, quite honestly, about what that looks like. But if we mirror what was going to happen in August with we do it in September, HEDAC 8/31, start Friday the 4th. The first game can be on Friday the 18th.
And so how many games does it look like we're going to get in the season right now? I mean, obviously this can all change, but.
Right. So I'd have to look at the schedule, but I think you could play 7, but then the season doesn't end. The last play date is the 9th. So if you're not in the playoffs, and let's assume playoffs start that first weekend in November, you could actually play an additional game that weekend. And I think your season could be 8 games, which,
okay.
At this point, we'd be happy. I think we'd be doing cartwheels if we played an 8-game football season right now.
I do agree with that. Some of the other sports it looks like are going to start the week of September 21st. It sounds like you have a lot to do with schedules as well. Can you kind of tell us? It sounds like you're still pretty busy.
Well, what we did, and let me just address golf real quick. So we figured we could start golf when we did for a couple different reasons. Number one, golf is off campus. You're not bringing kids to your campus typically for a golf match. Number two, golf is so subject to public golf course dates that we just felt like if we tried to move those, then their season really might be lost because of the dates that they have for public golf courses. Number three, those kids miss a lot of school time when they leave for golf matches. So if we kept that where they were, then they wouldn't miss as much time in school. And then the last reason really is the PIAA moved up the state championship for golf. They were concerned about the weather late October. So again, we kept that golf to where it was for those reasons. The other sports we just met we met at 1:00 with all the sports chairs. And I will tell you, our sports chairs have done a phenomenal job. They went from the meeting today at 8:00. We met at 1:00, and almost all the sports chairs had some sort of truncated schedule already planned and done. And we're going to meet tomorrow as an athletic director group at 8:00 in the morning. We're going to present them with the dates they can start, our playoff dates, what our championships will look like. But and I cannot tell you, and the ADs are under an awful lot of stress, as are superintendents and principals. Everybody's in the same boat. But my guts were churning after our meeting this morning at 8:00. But after I had this meeting with our sports chairs, I don't want to say they have it all figured out, because certainly they don't, but I feel a whole lot better about where we're headed. And those guys and our ADs are just a tremendous group of people, and do a really good job. So I feel really good about what they've done, and we'll figure out the schedules tomorrow. We'll figure it out. We got a lot of smart people in the group. We'll figure it out.
All right, so Thursday, Friday, we're hoping to see some different schedules, and we'll go from there. And then we'll start here, our planning at Blue Ridge of what we can potentially show on TV. I know this is probably the last question for me. There's some concern that pushing back the season at some point, you can't push it back far enough, and we'll just kind of have to call it quits. Is there some kind of, a date where it's like, if we don't have things started by this time, fall sports isn't just going to happen this year? Or how have you guys handled that?
We really haven't talked about that. So you're saying if it gets, it gets delayed even further?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that.
Okay.
I mean, I would think if it's something that isn't started by, I would say, middle of September, then you'd really have to look at maybe shut down the season. But I know there are other districts who aren't starting football games until the middle of September, or even in some cases, I think October.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's one conference isn't starting in October. So, we're fairly pleased with the plan. Like I said, if we can get 7 or 8 football games in, I think we'd be happy. But we really didn't talk about that, Chad. We're being optimistic that we're going to start on Friday the 4th.
Okay, real quick. There will be LL League playoffs. Will there be district and states?
Yes, to all of those questions. They just may look different.
Okay, well, we'll take that. As long as we can get a little bit of it, I think we'll take different.
Agreed.
Thank you so much. Again, we appreciate your
Absolutely.
time, always coming on, filling us in, and we'll look to talk to you again, hopefully with some happier news.
Sounds good. Thank you.